welcome back. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to check out another one of my videos, or if you're new around here, hello and welcome. My name is Katie Marie, and today we're going to be doing a palette Palooza countdown review video. If you are new, this is where I take a handful of palettes, in this case 5 of them, and I'm going to be giving you guys my official review for them. I'm going to show you all the looks that I created with them. I'm going to share swatches of the palettes, and then give you guys my official review on them, or like official review on them. I've probably done videos with these palettes in the past, and I try to link those when I can remember down in the description box, but I've featured them on my channel before. I've used them a ton. I know my final thoughts on them, and before I put them in my makeup collection, I want to give you guys my official review. So we're going to be doing that today. But if you are new around here, you may not know, my life's a little hectic. I've been trying to find ways to make filming a little bit easier, because I usually, on the days that I can film, have about 30 minutes. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a palette bingo with the palettes. I'm going to use a couple colors from each of the palettes that we're talking about, and I'm creating this look on my eyes. So not super surprising, because you guys already know the final look, but we're going to be creating it on camera, and as I went along, I had no idea what I was creating, but I feel like it turned out pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with it. So if you want to see real quick before we dive in, the palettes we're going to be reviewing, I mean, I guess you already saw it from the thumbnail, but we're going to run through the list. We're going to be reviewing the Odin's Eye Stone and Rock palette. We're going to be reviewing the Odin's Eye Sea Talk palette. This is the Lauren May Beauty collab. We're going to be reviewing the Nomad Okavanga Safari palette. We're going to be reviewing the Natasha Denona Yucca or Yucca palette. I always forget which way. I think it's Yucca, but we're reviewing that palette. And then also the Planet Spirit palette. This is Odin's Eye's collab with Batty Bean Betty Jean here on YouTube. So those are all the palettes. If that sounds good to you, let's go ahead and just jump right in and create this look on my eyes and talk about my official review for all these. And ranking, I don't think I mentioned them, but I'm ranking it from best, or from worst to best. So ranking them in order, you know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way up to my most favorite out of these 5. But we'll start with my least favorite. So let's get into it. Alright, so I use the Glam Light Icing eyeshadow primer, and I'm just going to tap it over a little bit, because right before I hit record I had to change a diaper, so it sat for a little bit, but there we go. I usually like to go in pretty quick once I do my eyeshadow primer, just because I like that little bit of tack to help things adhere. But okay, so first off, at the bottom of this countdown, and again, it's only 5 palettes, and I picked some really great palettes. I mean, I feel like most of the palettes I've been trying recently are really great, so even though it's coming at the bottom, not saying it's like the worst palette that I've tried in a long time. It's a really great palette, but one has to be at the bottom of this 5 countdown. So anyway, the palette that is coming in at the bottom has to be the Odin's Eye Planet Spirit palette, and this is a collaboration with Batty Jean. This is a gorgeous palette, very pretty, beautiful cover. Like, the cover is absolutely beautiful, and then inside it is beautiful and colorful. And initially I thought I would absolutely love it, but as I played with it, I realized that I don't love it as much as I could if there was a dark shadow. Like, not having a deep shade in here really kind of stumped me. Not really stumped me, but it's just not the type of looks that I like. I really like a dark outer corner to ground a look, and then all the color that I can blend out from there. So with this, there wasn't really that dark shade, and I mean, I'm gonna dive in. I think I'm gonna go with purple. I just feel like it's unexpected for me. I tend to not to go for purple. I don't know, that's literally the only reason. But we're gonna use purple. I'm gonna put it on the outer corner, because there is no deep dark shade for me to start as I typically would on the outer corner. We're going to put it into the I think I might have said that wrong. Anyway, I'm going to put it into the crease out here next to the outer corner, and that's what we're going to pick from this palette. So yeah, like I said, not putting this at the bottom because there's anything wrong, or I don't love a good colorful palette, because you guys know I love a good colorful palette. That is not it at all. I got like a hair. It's probably a cat hair on my nose, but oh my goodness, I'm so sorry if I'm messing with my nose a lot, but it itches. We're gonna put this on. Let me make sure I'm focused one more time. But yeah, it's not because this is like a bad palette, or the quality is not good, not there. Super pigmented, like seriously, like I barely tapped on there and it's so intense. The quality is fantastic, but the reason it's coming in at the bottom is because of all the looks that I created with the palettes that we're going over today. This is the one where whenever I created a look, I definitely had to kind of think outside the box and get super creative in that way, but it wasn't my favorite type of looks, because I didn't have those dark shades to really ground the look. But as you can see, like, it's beautiful. I'm having a hard time blending it into there, just because I am using a more fluffy brush. I should have grabbed a smaller fluffy brush, because I got them deep set hooded eyes, but that's fine, because I'm going to plan on bringing a dark color up to blend into that, so no big deal. Oh, I can see the hair. Okay, I think I got it. Oh my goodness. I don't know if that was a cat hair. That was really tiny to be cat hair, but it also didn't look like a brush hair. Anyway, oh, finally got it. That was annoying. Anyway, so yeah, that's the biggest reason it's coming in at the bottom, is because my camera is flashing. I thought I had a new battery in here, but anyway, obviously not, so I'll have to put a new battery in soon. But it is because there's no deep dark shade, and I just love deep dark shades to ground out a look, and these kind of mid-tone, very bright type of eye looks, they're just not me. Anytime that I would create a looks, it just felt, like I said, not me. It wasn't really grounded. The outer corner just always looked a little empty, and I think it might have to do with me having those deep set. I have deep set, hooded, but downturned eyes, so I feel like the reason I find that I like to use dark colors on my outer corner is because it kind of helps, not conceal, but it helps be the most flattering on downturned eyes to have a really dark outer corner, because you don't notice those downturnedness of my eyes as much when I have something really dark to smoke out right there. I don't know, I feel like it just kind of all blends away and you don't see that, but when I have really bright colors on my outer corners, I feel like then I see that downturnedness a little bit. I don't know, there's something about it that whenever I have it really bright on the outer corner and I look at it like completed shot, close-ups look fine, but like as a whole, I just don't love it on myself. So that's kind of why I always steer towards looks that have really dark colors on the outer corners. But let's move away from why I put it at the bottom and talk about the quality, because that is the main reason that I'm doing these. The quality is great. As I said, you can tell from this, just blending out this one eyeshadow, it is gorgeous, very pigmented, very easy to blend out, very beautiful. The mattes, I have no complaints. The shimmers, I think for the as a whole, I really liked them. Majestic was a tad chunky, but as a whole, they were more of that very smooth type of beautiful type of shimmers. They're very pretty. I liked them, like no big issue with them. They are that typical kind of Odin's Eye sparkly messy shadow where throughout the day sweating and moving around, even with the glitter primer, they do transfer up and kind of, thankfully they don't fall on my face, but they definitely do kind of come up here, just because like when I look straight on you, my eyelid will open and it kind of goes right up in here, so then as the day goes it'll kind of come up into my brow, but they're not so bad that it falls on my cheeks or goes into my actual eyebrow, which some brands that don't work well or that are super chunky or super sparkly can get into my brows and on my cheeks. So I'm glad about that. But as a whole, a really nice palette, really nice quality. But the reason it's landing low is because for me, I couldn't get down with the color story. That's the main reason why it's landing low for me. But besides that, I had no issues with the palette. Okay, moving right along, let's go into the Odin's Eye and Lauren May Beauty's Sea Talk palette. This palette right here, Odin's Eye both came in at the bottom for these collab palettes, and I feel so bad, but again, this is mostly preference-wise, because while I do like this type of unique color story, it didn't speak to me as much as the other palettes we're gonna get into, and this shade right here, it's pretty, but it's one of those kind of satiny shades. I don't know, it frustrated me. And in fact, let's put it on the inner corner just so you guys can see, and I'll probably put something else to really jazz it up if this doesn't show up super well, but it's just disappointed me. This is Electric Kelp. It looks so pretty. If this was a really intense all matte shade, I think I would have loved this palette a little bit more. But as it is, it's a very like a sheer highlighter color, and then it has a shine to it, so that I wasn't a fan of using it all over my lid, but then using it here, it doesn't blend as nicely in my opinion, and it doesn't like stand out as nicely, again, in my opinion. But I mean, it's okay. Can you even see that? I feel like it just gives a little glow. But I don't love the way it blends out. I've never really liked those type of satiny shades, how they blend out and the sheen it leaves on your eyelid as you're trying to blend it out. I don't know, I just would rather it have been a matte. All over the lid, it's fine. Not my favorite, but it's okay. So I don't know, this was definitely one that color story wise, when I was looking, I was like, oh, I'm gonna love that, but then getting it and using it, I was like, eh. And then the rest of the palette, like they're neat colors, but they're not like my type of colors. There's a lot of brown in here, but I did enjoy the blue side of the palette. That was really fun. But as far as like, I got one or two looks that I was really into, and then I felt like the others were just kind of a simple type of, safe neutral palette, which makes sense for the creator, Lauren May Beauty, that, she likes to do those very effortless, kind of like almost like a glow of color is how I guess I would describe her eye looks. Are really pretty, but just for me personally and what I like in an eye look, not exactly what I go for. So that's the main reason, again, why it's landing low. Moving to quality of this, again, mattes are lovely and they're such a deep blue matte. It's beautiful. And then the shimmers, I really like the dark shimmer, the dark colored shimmer was it Ocean Jewel and Sea Spray. Those are really pretty. The pink was a little bit chunky for me. This incandescent shell. It was a little chunky for me, and it's one of those kind of like wash of colors type of eyeshadows, so that when you actually use it, it doesn't really give you much color, but it just gives you that kind of, as you move around and shift, that wash of color and sparkle. So if you like that type of look, then I think you'll like it. But if you're not new around here, you know, for me personally, it's not my favorite type of look. And then the browns, they're just taupey type of browns, so I wasn't crazy about them. So honestly, that's really the only reason it's landing low, because yeah, it's just color story wise, but quality wise, they're very beautiful. These formulas are my favorite type of formula from Eau d'Insight. They're simple, they go on, they stay on, they don't move as much as like this what was it, incandescent shells moved all over my eyelid. Again, I don't remember a lot of fallout, maybe a minimal amount, because it is pretty chunky. But this shade right here also, what is this called? Mermaid Seal. I really liked the color. I liked how it looked, but it was all over, you know, going up into my crease and whatnot. And then Ocean Jewel had a little bit of transfer, but these two, such an easy shade to just throw on and actually stay on your eyelid. I really did like that. So yeah, I think that's about, why is my mirror is not working all of a sudden? There we go. But yeah, the overall, again, kind of, I feel like I'm a little bit shorter with this one, since I kind of said quality-wise about the previous Eau d'Insight palette, there really is no difference. I was really impressed with the Sea Talk palette from a quality standpoint, and I enjoyed some looks. It was creative. I like that I could still get depth, but a lot of the depth and deep type of looks that I got leaned on the neutral side, just because color story, you know, like pops of color-wise, was this disappointing shade for me that you guys know. It's fine, like it's okay, and it looks great in pictures and stuff like that, or on video, if you can see that hint of color, which I think you can see it and it looks good, but in person, I just feel like it accentuates all the texture on my eyelid, and mattes don't do that, so I'd rather just use a matte. And then the pink, like I said, it looks so promising, but when you actually use it, it really is just like that wash of color, like wash of sparkle, which if you're into that, great. But you guys know me, again, I'm broken record here. This is not my type of eye look or my type of shimmer that I like, so that's why it's getting number 4. Okay, next 3 palettes are all the same type of grungy type of color story, so it was really hard for me to rank these, and we're gonna see how creative I can get with this eye look, since, like I said, they're very similar type of color stories. But I don't know where I'm getting all these like loose, maybe it's on my head, but I feel like I have a hair on my lip now. But anyway, I decided to put this at number 3, and we'll get into why, but this is the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. In the moment, I cannot remember which. I think it's Yucca. I forget, but this palette right here, this palette, I'm putting at number 3 because compared to the other 2 we're going to talk about next, I really did like this palette, but there was a little bit more of a, how do you even say it, a mix of neutrals in there that, like, if I wasn't careful to kind of pick those grungy colors, it would just look like a neutral brown palette. Kind of talking about like this shade, and even these shades, because they're just blending out and kind of helping out the grungy shades. If you use them with the browns, it just looked a little bit more of a simple neutral brown, if that makes sense. And then also the shimmers, while they are pretty, they're sparkly, they weren't my favorite for whatever reason. I don't know, I just wasn't crazy about them. So that's why I'm putting it at number 3. And one of these days I will get all of the little bits of hair. Oh, I caught another one. I don't know what they are. They're not bristles. They're not cat hair, because they're too short and our cats have long hair. I don't know what it is, those little fuzzies that just fly around and land on me and annoy me today. But anyway, we're gonna use this. Let me figure out what I want to use, and then we can talk more about the why behind. You know what? This shade is really pretty, especially if you have something to go on, like to put on down first, but I feel like that'll be a cheat if I just cover up the previous shades. So I think what I'm going to do I want to do that? Yeah, I think I'm going to take, let's start with Tipu, this shade right here. We're going to deepen up a little bit into this crease, just a hint. This might be a little bit anticlimactic in using this shade for it, but I want to add a little bit of depth with this tiny little brush. This is the E47 from Sigma. fantastic little brush. And this I'm just gonna add a little bit of depth throughout because I do also have to blend something dark into here. So we're just gonna take this right in here. We'll start on this end. And if this isn't dark, then I'll go a little bit darker, but I want a little bit of a transition shade all in my crease at this point. So anyway, quality wise, I really like the mattes. They had 1 or 2 shades in here that was like that creamy matte formula. I forget what that is. Cream to matte. I forget what she calls it. I wasn't the biggest fan of that. Okay, this looks good for the inner corner, but I don't think it'll look good for the outer corner. So maybe I'll just focus it on here. But anyway, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's fine, but I feel like I have to work a little harder to get a very smooth application when I use the cream to powder. Maybe I'm just too heavy-handed or using it wrong. But I don't know, it's not my favorite. I used it when I needed to, or when I had to, you know, to do a look or whatnot. It's not anything terrible that I don't want to use or doesn't work for me. It's just a little bit more labor intensive, I guess you could say, when I was using it. And then the shimmers, like I said, they're really pretty. They're super sparkly, but for whatever reason, I wasn't the biggest fan of wearing them because I feel like they made such a mess all over my eye. And this was one where fallout on my cheeks, fallout in my eyebrow, or not fallout because it's going up, but like transfer up into my eyebrows. Like they're the type that is so loose that I could see them, like when I'm blinking, I could see them sitting, like they'd fallen onto my lashes and they were sitting in there. So when I blinked, I had these like little, what's that? I don't like that. It's just not my favorite. So yeah, they had a lot of those type of, you know, when I was wearing it, I had a lot of those type of reactions. So they're just not my favorite. They're very beautiful. If you're just wanting like to take a picture, oh my goodness, they are gorgeous on for sure. But if you're wanting, I don't know, for me, practically speaking, using it all the time, not my favorite. I just have other shimmers that I like color. I like a metallic finish or sparkly finish, but I like them to stay there. So if I have to like sacrifice them staying there, like I like them for video, especially like if I'm doing a look on camera, they're beautiful in video. But as far as using them every day, I'll go to just a simple shimmer that's like super impactful on the color and really stands out. I'll go with those because I can put those on. Yeah, maybe they don't shimmer and sparkle all the time, but they stay put, and that's what I like. I think I'm going to go ahead and, maybe this is a bit of a cheat, but I'm planning to still use the other palettes. I want to take a little bit of I don't know, I'm not going to try to pronounce it. This shade, I'm going to top it over that previous shade that I did, because they're the same color, but I think this shade will just help brighten that up a bit. Again, maybe a little bit of a cheat because I'm using 2 shades from here and I'm covering the 1 shade from the Sea Talk palette, but maybe I'll use one of the Sea Talk palette. I can use it again for the inner corner because that had a lot of really pretty ones in it too. But I don't know, the real reason I wanted to do this, not only to brighten it back up, but if I wanted to brighten it, I could just go back into that palette. But the real reason is because I just like a matte look to my eye looks, and seeing that sheen, again, I feel like it just looks very textured and thick. And I don't love that. So putting this over it, it's just helping to smooth it out to give that look that I prefer to my eye look. So that's probably honestly the real reason that I'm doing this. Again, maybe a little bit of a cheat, so sorry, but I like it a lot better now. Okay, so yeah, overall, let's go and swing back to here, wrapping it up. I do like this palette. It is lovely. Oh, I should have looked this up, but I think this one wasn't like that over $100. I think this was like $69. I feel like that is not a bad price. If you've been dying to try Natasha Denona, you love these colors, I don't think you'll be disappointed, especially if you're someone who likes this sparkly and doesn't mind making a mess. I think you'll love these colors. If you're exactly like me, you hate all the sparkle fallout, you're not into Natasha Denona, you know, just to like have Natasha, you know, you're not a Natasha Denona fanatic where you really want to have her palettes, I definitely think you can get this color story in like the next 2 palettes that we're going to talk about, but in a lot of other palettes with a formula that you don't have to worry about getting sparkle everywhere. But if you like that sparkle, I can see this absolutely being worth the purchase, because it is, like I said, super sparkly, very pretty. Next up, let's move on into the number 2 spot. This is the Odin's Eye Stone and Rock palette. Do you guys even remember when this came out? It's been a little while. That's how late and slow I am to getting these things reviewed. But this palette right here really is pretty. I think I gave it a hard time because, and I think the biggest reason I gave this a hard time is because this came out And the previous palette that Odin's Eye had released was also kind of like a grungy green type of color story, and then they came out with this, and I was just kind of like, can we get something else? Like, we've seen this before from you. But that aside, looking at this just as it is, it's a really nice palette. Now, it is getting number 2 because while I absolutely love the depth that you can get in here, again, kind of the same with the Natasha Denona palette, I didn't love that there wasn't a whole lot of range in here as far as getting different type of looks in that grungy green theme. And then also the shimmers in here are pretty flaky. Like, there's a couple, especially this one is nice and smooth in this one. And then this one is a multichrome, which is smooth and beautiful. But these up here are pretty flaky. And again, with that flakiness, they're pretty chunky to use and apply, and then they get everywhere. I feel like a broken record since this is the third one I'm talking about. Not my favorite, just a little bit extra chunky. I think I would have liked a little bit more if there was 1 or 2 pops of color to bring something. Wait, what am I doing? I don't even know. I'm like putting on my lid color. Hang on. What am I doing, Katie? Back it up. I'm gonna use the outer corner for this. Yeah, I gotta do something for my outer corner. Let's go ahead and go into this shade. This is like a dark green. Maybe not the best. Or maybe we should use Dreamland, because I might have to, I'm blending up into purple, so I don't know if the green is going to be a little much. What do we think? Where the gray might be a little bit more forgiving. Let's try the gray. If it's too light, then we'll go into the dark green. So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, it's a little bit chunky when it comes to the shimmers. Oh, hello Fallout. Please go. Ah! I could never take them off well. Anyway, let me tap this off a lot. It's pigmented. It is pigmented. The dark shades, I love a brand like this is that Dreamland. This is like a third, like darkest. This is darker, and this is way darker. Look how dark that is. That's beautiful. I love that about the Odin's Eye. So again, that's one of the reasons it's up so high at the second one, but just because the pigment, the mattes, I'm a huge fan. I really like how they apply, how they blend out, how pigmented and intense they are. Very, very nice. What else? But yeah, the shimmers, I think that's why this made it number 2 and not number 1, even though I kind of wanted to put number 1, number 2 as like tying, because I really do like them. But yeah, the shimmers aren't my favorite. I don't like how chunky they are. And how messy they are. Now, did I like still wear looks and enjoy them? Yes. So like the looks that I created, I really loved how they turned out and stuff like that. But it's just, you know, when we're talking about preference wise to all the palettes that I can choose, or, you know, the palettes that I had to rank today, the reason I put the number 1 where it's at is just because I like the shimmers more. So these shimmers, while they're pretty, they're not my personal favorite. So that's why it was pretty easy for me to choose this for number 2 and not number 1. But if you like the colors, if you've never tried the brand, if you don't have the other palettes that I felt like are pretty similar to this color story, because like I said, I feel like they have done this color story before previously, I think this is a nice buy. I was choked, sorry, that sounded weird. I think this is a nice buy if you like textured eyeshadows. If you like the sparkle, if you like that chunkiness to it, this is a good buy. I think this, you'll be really happy, and especially like if you like the grungy. If you don't mind there not being too much variety would be my next caveat, because like I said, while this has more variety because it's got so many deep tones, so many light tones, all the different color sparkles, it has more variety I feel like that you can get from it than the Yucca palette or Yucca palette. It's still a little bit limiting because there isn't a ton of those pops of colors and there's so many deep dark tones. But I do like with Odin's Eye is you can use that one color and pack it on and then be able to use that one color to blend it out to get that type of variety, so that is nice. But I don't know, it's just one of those things to consider. I'm actually going to go back in at this point into the Planet Spirit palette to that shade that we used, and I'm going to go back over just because I don't usually go in this order, so I'm not quite used to putting my dark shade on and then my lighter shade on and then blending the dark over it, so I feel like it's kind of going over what I already put down. So we're just going to brighten it back up and finish out that blend. And I feel like for any eye look I do, I tend to go back and forth a lot anyway as I progress and go on. But anyway, going back to the Odin's Eye, it's a really nice quality. I didn't really have any issues as far as with the different colors. You can definitely run into issue or like different mattes and blending. You can run into it when it comes to the different colors of grunge. I feel like it's not uncommon to have those issues where things will want to patch and whatnot. But I feel like with Odin's Eye, whenever I would see that, like even here, was it this side? Again, so dark for being that like fourth darkest shade. There was, I think it was this side, or maybe it was this side. There was a little bit of starting to bald up, and I feel like all I had to do is go back in and tap more over it, and it's able to easily, you know, like stick to adhere, and then just a little bit of tap, 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 and I feel like it's all blended in really nice. I'm gonna take this brush now and kind of dust it off, just because I always like a nice blend, and I struggle to get that nice blend. But we're gonna go like that. So anyway, I really like the palette. It's nice. If you haven't tried the brand, if you liked chunky shimmer shadows, and if you don't want a ton of variety with your grungy green palette, I think you'll like this. So hopefully that was helpful. But yeah, it's a nice palette. I really did enjoy it, and I had a lot of fun creating it, especially with the time period I am in with not being able to like record videos and get super creative with my eye looks as often. I was definitely reaching for the top 3 in this video. I was definitely reaching for those palettes a lot just to create a really quick, easy, the everyday look for me and go, because this is definitely my type of everyday palette. Very easy, breezy, like my natural everyday. So at this point, we're gonna close up with this palette if I can stop using it because I keep going back and forth. Let's go ahead and move on to the number 1 palette. Okay, the number 1 palette is the Nomad Okavanga Safari palette. Now the reason I put this one at number 1 is, like I said, I like the shimmers, and there's a little bit more pop when it came to the colors. Yes, there is more, I feel like, browns in this palette, but the greens that they put in this palette pop and stand out a little bit more, so I felt like it gave me more creativity when it came to making each of my looks look a little bit different from the next. There was more just, yeah, matte pops of colors, and then the shimmers, while they might not seem super exciting, they stayed on my eyelid all day, and they had great pigment to them, and they're colors that I like. They're, yes, not super exciting, but the colors and tones, I really do like them, so I had to give it to this one. So let me think about what I want to put all over my lid. What should I do? What should I do? Maybe orange? Or would that be crazy? Maybe we can do more of a silver. Ooh, the dark, it's kind of like a taupey silver. Sorry, my finger's dirty. Let's do that. We're gonna do Migrating Zebras, and now I'm gonna use this that I was reaching for before and putting on. Anyway, let's start talking about the mattes. I didn't even say in the beginning, but I am working at getting the garden bed all ready for some fall planting, and I was out in there, and I have to go back out in there, so I did not clean under my nails. I feel like I've been saying that in the last video and in this video that I recorded, but I'm trying to get everything ready. We have quite a few beds that I just gave up on this year because we had a puppy, and I couldn't puppy and garden this year, so I basically haven't touched my garden since last fall, so it needs a lot of work. So yeah, I've been out in it a lot, so that's why I didn't stress about getting my nails clean, because I'm going back out there. So sorry if that bothers you. But anyway, let's talk about this palette. Mattes, beautiful. I mean, I feel like it's very simple, sweet, and to the point, but Nomad mattes are lovely. I think out of the 3 brands, or the top 3, Odin's Eye, Natasha Denona, and Nomad, I think Nomad is probably my favorite. And Natasha Denona, both of them have just a very easy formula to work with. Like, they're intense, they're, you know, they're not, you know, sheer, they're not, you know, not pigmented or anything like that, but they're just a little bit more like forgiving, I feel like, than Odin's Eye can be sometimes, like as you saw with like how intense it was. Well, I love that intensity when we're talking about like beginner friendly. I feel like it can be a little bit intimidating, but Nomad is just something so effortless about their dark shades, and when you're blending and stuff like that, they're that eyeshadow that almost just wants to blend themselves. Like, it's that beautiful and effortless. So I really do like their mattes. All of them very pigmented. Like I said, I like the mix of colors that they put in there for a grungy green palette. You know, there's a lot of mattes in here, but only 1 or 2 of them I feel like are a little bit close, but for the most part, they're all very different and bring something else to the palette so that you can get a lot of different type of looks, which you guys know I like. And yeah, I really do like it. And then moving on to the shimmers, they're nothing special when it comes to like the sparkly shadows you can use today, but like you see how beautiful that goes on. And then tonight when I wash my face, it's gonna still look like that, and honestly it'll probably still have that nice line that I did. Like that's how well they stay, and I just like that. I had a couple people talking about hard pan, and I did get some hard pan in here. I noticed it mostly in the eyeshadows and in the places where I was picking it up with my finger. And I am someone who mostly picks up my eyeshadows with a brush, even if it takes longer. I don't like getting my fingers dirty. I like the precision a brush gives me to create that line. So for me, it's not a huge deal. In those areas where they were starting to get hard pan, I took a little clean spoolie and roughed it up a little bit and then dug my brush into it so I didn't do my finger again, and kind of, you know, kind of patted it all down with a brush. And maybe it still takes a little bit longer than some eyeshadows. Like it's not that creamy smooth or easy to pick up, as you can see. I'm taking a little while to transfer, and I have to, you know, press my eyeshadow in, or my brush in there to pick up the eyeshadow, but they still are nicely pigmented for me, so I don't mind that. But definitely something to consider if you're someone who like always uses your finger and you don't like to have to like work and kind of press firmly to pick up your eyeshadow. You might not be a fan of this. But in saying that, there's like 2 or 3 sparkles on either side, and that's it. Like it's very minimal on the fallout. What did I do with that brush? Very, very minimal on the fallout when it comes to all the sparkle. And I still feel like it looks beautiful. It's more of like that metallic shimmer type of finish, but it's pretty and I like it. And you know what? I'm probably crazy, but I want to take Roaring Lions and put that on the rest of it. Doesn't really go, but that's kind of why I want to put it on there. I'm just curious. I love this shade as well. Again, you do have to kind of push in there to pick up because it is more of that firmly pressed. I don't know if it's just with the marbling that they did, but you do have to kind of really press in there. But it comes up still. Like look at that. It still comes up and transfers. It just might take a little bit longer than some, but like I said, I like that they stay put, and that's the biggest reason why this is this palette is winning #1 compared to the other palettes, is because that I just like to know that I don't need to, you know, check my makeup in the mirror when I'm out and about, or, you know, touch up my makeup and clean up my face, because I don't have time for it. You know, I rarely, once I leave my makeup table, it's rare for me to actually like have time to look at myself in the mirror when I take a bathroom break, let alone take the time to fix anything. So I like the reliability of a good shimmer. So that's why I really like this palette and put this one at #1, along with all the other reasons. But I like a simple shimmer. I like a simple shimmer. I wouldn't mind this one to be a little bit more softly milled, and they do have those, you know, their eyeshadows in there. Like Nomad does do their shimmers where they're super soft to push into, so it's not my favorite shimmer from Nomad. But out of the palettes, like I said, I really do like that they stay put, and I don't mind taking a little bit more time to pack it on and get it just so, especially knowing that it's not gonna make a mess of my face, because I kind of have time to, I have that wiggle room. I'm gonna go back to the silver and just work to blend these two, tap it down the middle. It's an interesting eye look. I don't know. I like, you guys know me, I like kind of doing and then seeing. Like I'm not someone to, I should probably grab the color wheel and say, now will these two look good together along with all the other colors that I'm mixing it to along with, but I'm also that person that, as you saw, was just like, let's do it. It sounds like it's not gonna work, but I want to see if I can make it work. And that's where that's how I come up with my interesting eye colors. Sounds like it's not gonna work, so let's see if it works. And there's some days that it really doesn't, but I'm liking how this is looking. I don't know, what do you guys think? I don't mind it. I'm gonna go back into, what was the previous palette? Stone and Rock, yes. I'm going to tap into, grab it, that shade I used on the outer corner. That deep, dark, beautiful shade, and we're just gonna tap it right here. Should I do another color? Nah, we'll just stick to what we had. We had a good thing going. Tap it over. Tap it over, and this is all pretty much the look. What do you guys think? Did I finish talking about Nomad? I think I did. Sorry, I have to try and make sure I'm like paying attention and making sure I'm actually reviewing, not just talking randomly, because with the Paloozas I have to have more of a thorough review. Well, I have a more of a thorough review, so I want to make sure I'm more thorough in what I'm talking about since I am not sitting there just chatting about it. You'll have to let me know. This is the second time I've done this type of palette palooza where I'm actually like putting it on and creating a palette bingo of sorts with the palettes. Let me know what you think. I've done this once before with the bottom 5 of the palettes I've tried recently. I'll leave that video linked up here, but if you missed it, just FYI, it's up there. But let me know what you think. I need a bigger fluffy brush. Where's all my nice, oh, there it is. My little, well, this isn't big, but it has a little bit of product on it, so it'll help dust everything away. There's a little bit left, but honestly, it's so small and my kids don't mind, so I'm not going to bother. Okay, I'm gonna go in, now that I've done all the palettes and we've created the look, I'm gonna finish it out just going into whatever palette I want and, you know, finish out this look. So for the lower lash line, I'm gonna go, let's do, what should we do? Just something dark, I guess, on the outer corner. Let's go ahead and grab the brush that I need. I'm gonna go into Rumbling Elephants. It's like a nice gray black, I guess you could say, because it's a really dark gray. We're gonna keep this color. What should I do on here? Should I go, it's interesting how that purple turned to more pink as I was blending it out, because I grabbed the purple, right? Yeah, I guess it's like a fuchsia, so it's kind of that mix, but like there's obvious pinks in here, so this shade kind of ended up being that type of pink. I always find that interesting how eyeshadows blend out. But anyway, what should I do on the rest of it? Should we go orange? I kind of want to go orange because I like a good orange. Maybe we'll do that and I'll use that because I want to say the orange in the Natasha Denona palette is that kind of, yeah, it's that cream matte. I don't know what it's called, but it's got a creamy texture. So we're gonna do a little tiny blending brush, but it's got a flat, or not a dome, but like a dense dome, so it should be able to pick up and blend out that more creamy type of formula. So let's put it on, that way you guys can see. Like there's not, it behaves very much like a matte in the way it like visually looks, but I feel like I have to think about it and treat it differently, because kind of like I'm grabbing this brush and I'm more so like using it in a bit of a different way than I would for a matte, if that makes any sense. Like I feel like a lot of times for a lower lash line I use fluffier little brushes, but this one I needed something dense to pick it up. So just something to consider as far as this this type of formula. I've heard some people say they really like it though, so I think if you like the type of cream to matte, it is in here. Now we're going to go into that shade from the Planet Spirit palette, the Pride palette, or the Pride color. I'm going to bring it down. And I think after I get off, I am going to go ahead and put on wing liner, because this look needs a strong wing, I feel like, to complete it out. Oh, and then I said I was going to use, was it this one? No, I was going to use this palette, and I'll use the pink just so you guys can see, since I kind of covered it in the inner corner there. So we're going to use the pink. It's iridescent. I don't know why I can't say that. Shell, iridescent shell. So let's pop it right in here like so. Super pretty, super flaky and messy. Oh, I gotta sneeze. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be the video, the look. I'll come back here at the end just to close this out. So let me go ahead and do that. And per usual, keep it very chill. So not a bunch of fancy editing, but we'll come back and close out this video real quick just so you guys can see how it looks. Since I have to do the intro anyway, we can see how this all looks completed. So be right back. Okay, so here is the look. I'll go ahead and stick up close-ups since I am doing editing for this video anyway. I can stick some close-ups up for you guys so you guys can see how the final look turned out. It's definitely a different type of look, but I definitely think it's a look that's me. Like, it's a look that I would enjoy rocking. So if you see this look and you're just like, oh my goodness, no way, I totally understand that, but I like this type of look. It's kind of, it got all those colors that are on it that don't necessarily go together, but I feel like they go together. Maybe that's just me. I like the final look, and I feel like for using 5 different palettes, you know, from, what is it, 3 different brands. I feel like they all blended together and work together so beautifully. So yeah, that is going to be my review for all 5 of these palettes, and that's going to be pretty much the end of this video. As I said in, during the video, let me know what you guys think of this type of format where I am creating a palette bingo, creating an eye look on my eyes as I talk about the eyeshadows, or as I talk about my review for the eyeshadow palettes. Let me know if that's too distracting, or if you really do like that type of, get ready with me where you can see it and also hear my review, because if you're new around here, I used to just sit kind of like now, and I would just show you guys the palette, talk about it, and then put the things on the screen. So let me know what you guys think about the new way of doing it. And with that said, that is going to do it for me. If you want to get more content from me, I'm over on Instagram. I'm LadyKatie92 over there. That's where I put all my makeup related content. And if you want to see a little bit more of like my personal life, homestead, animal related, that is the Makeup Homesteader, also on Instagram. So with that said, thank you guys so very much for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye guys.